Om Namah Pranavarthaya Shuddhajnanaikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namah. Bhurambhamsya nalo nilombara mahar natho himamshuh puman ityabhati chara charatmakamidam yasyaiva murtyashtakam nanyat kinchana vidyate vimrushatam yasmat parasmad vibhoh tasmai shri guru murtaye namayidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Bhurambhamsya nalo nilombara mahar natho himamshuh puman ityabhati chara charatmakamidam yasyaiva murtyashtakam nanyat kinchana vidyate vimrushatam yasmat parasmat vibhoh tasmai shri guru murtaye namayidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. So, either நம்ம பார்த்தோம் last week we had a glimpse of this. He's saying there are 8 aspects to this whole entity that we call as the Brahman or this existence. Bhuhu, the earth. Bhuhu ambhasi, which is water. Analaha. Analaha, which is air. Anila, which is fire. Space, which is ambaram. Aharnatha is sun, the master of the day. Aharnatha. Ahahana, day. Natha is the master. So Aharnatha, who is the ruler of the day, is the sun. Himam Shuhu is moon. Puman is that individual Atma or the soul. So these are the 8 aspects.
Analaha, Anilaha interchange ஆயிருக்கோ?
அதுதான் நானும் நினைச்சேன்.
Analaha
வந்து
fire. Correct. Anala, ஆமா. Tapas. Correct.
நானும் தான் கன்ஃபியூஸ் ஆயிட்டேன்.
Correct. Thanks for
நேத்துதான் குருஜி தைத்திரோபனிஷத்துல சொன்னார் அனலஹ அப்படினாக்கா.
Okay, correct. So Analaha is Anal, தமிழ்லயும் சொல்றோம் இல்லையா? Anal, correct.
அனல் காத்து அப்படிங்கறால இப்ப.
ஆமா, கரெக்ட். கல்பகா பாவம் சென்னை ஷூட்ல மாட்டிண்டு.
அதே டாபிக்.
Analaha is fire, Anila is water. So I'm sorry, Anila is air. So these are the 8 different aspects of that entity, where the soul is also the soul, or the Jivatma or the Atma is also an aspect, which is Puman, the person. Iti abhati chara achara charachara atmakam idam yasya eva murti ashtakam. So in this, the presence of this, everything is moving and unmoving, which means moving and unmoving. Na? Everything that is in existence, all that is animate and inanimate, is an appearance in this entity, which is made up of all these Ashtamurti. It's also called as Ashtamurti Bhrit. Ashtamurti Bhrit. This entity is made up of these 8 aspects. The Atma, the Panchabhutas here, earth, water, air, space, fire, the Surya and the Chandra. Okay, so these are the aspects in which everything is appearing to move and not move, which means everything that is animate and inanimate is in this. Now one who has realized this, na anyat kinchana vidyate vimrushatam, one who has understood yasmat parasmat vibhoho, that all that is pervading here is nothing other than this entity. The one who has understood, Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye, such a person is my guru, and that guru is Sri Dakshinamurti. இது நீங்க பார்த்தீங்கன்னா this whole shloka goes back to the first shloka. Vishwam darpana drishyamana nagari tulyam nijantargatam பஷ்யன்னாத்மனி மாயா பஹிரிவோத்பூதம் யதா நித்ரயா. அந்த ஸ்லோகத்துல வந்து இதே தான் சொல்றோம். எவ்ரிதிங் இஸ் அப்பியரிங் இன் மை in that self, like a nagari tulyam nija antargatam. It's like a city that's appearing in my own inner space. So adu vandu, so if you look at the imagery here, we again saw this last week. This is the Suryan Chandran. So Dakshinamurti oda idula kreedathula vandu you'll see Suryan Chandran, Ganga is water, the air, the anila air, which is the hair, the space is the damaru, fire is the agni that he is holding. So this is the imagery. So which means everything that is presented as this being, which is manifest as all of these, that's moving and unmoving, is from this. It's from this presence. It is my experience that gives life to everything that is existing here. It is me because of which everything exists. The one who has understood this, yasmat parasmat vibhoho vimrishatam vidyate vimrishatam, everything that exists here, one who has understood this, and there is nothing else besides this. So idula vande he is Adi Shankara. In a way he is saying that, because if you remember, Adi Shankara is also trying to, one side he is trying to fight against the karma kandins. In அந்த டைம்ல the karma kandins எல்லாம் தலை தூக்கி நின்னுட்டு இருந்தா, right? Which is the epitome of that was Mandana Mishra. So by defeating Mandana Mishra, he won over the karma kandins. And then on the other hand, he is also fighting against the Buddhist Shunya philosophy, where they are saying there is nothing. Shunya illa Purna அப்படின்னு சொல்லி establish பண்ணுவார் அவர். Because the whole journey is from Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Apurna lend Purna. The whole journey is from incompleteness to completeness. And the journey given there, he is trying to say that all that is here that you see is this alone. இது எதுவுமே இல்லைன்னு சொல்லல. He doesn't say nothing is here. He's saying everything that is this alone. What is this? This Ashtamurti Brit, that you are is everything. That I am is everything. There is nothing different than me. It is all in appearance alone. Everything that is there here appearing differently is in appearance alone. Fundamentally nothing is different. அப்படிங்கிறது he establishes with this shloka. The last shloka vandu is a phalashruti. Phalashruti idu. So idu eppdina, this, can somebody repeat after me? Yeah,
okay na panna.
Sarvatmatvamiti sputikritamidam. Sarvatmatvam, the word Sarva Atmatvam. Cholama. Sarvatmatvam iti sputikritamidam.
Sarvatmatvam iti sputikritam idam. Sarvatmatvam
iti sputikritamidam.
iti sputikritam
idam.
Oh, kritam idam.
Correct.
Iti sputikritam idam.
Yasmad amushminstave.
Yasmat amushminstave.
Tenasya shravanat.
கேக்குறதா?
ஒரு செகண்ட். Tenasya shravanat tadartha
Tenasya shravanat
tadartha
tadartha
mananat
mananat
dhyanat cha sankirtanat
dhyanascha sankirtanat
dhyanat cha sankirtanat
dhyanascha sankirtanat
sarvatmatvam sarvatmatva
sarvatmatva
mahavibhuti sahitam
mahavibhuti sahitam
yadishwaratvam swatah
syadishvaratvam swatah
asyadishwaratvam swatah
sahityam syadishvartam
Ah, syad ishwaratvam swatah
syad ishvaratvam swatah
siddhyetat
siddhyetat
punarashtadha
punarashtata
punarashtadha
punarashtata
parinatam
parinatam
chaishwaryam avyahatam
chaishwaryam avyataham
avyahatam
avyahatam
Ama.
Mm,
So it is a little complex, na? Nariya
yes
Sanskrit.
romba
So many words put together.
yeah
So the way it goes is sarvatmattvamiti sphutikritamidam yasmadamushminstave tenasya shravanat tadarthamananad dhyanat cha sankirtanat sarvatmatva mahavibhuti sahitam syadishwaratvam swatah siddhyetat punarashtadha parinatam chaishwaryam avyahatam. That is a shloka.
okay
So the way it goes is sarvatmatvam iti sphutikritam idam yasmat amushmin stave tenasya shravanat tat artha mananat dhyanat cha sankirtanat sarvatmatva mahavibhuti sahitam syat ishwaratvam swatah siddhyetat punarashtadha parinatam cha aishwaryam avyahatam. That is the when you do the sandhi vichcheda, that is how you break it. Sarvatmatvam iti sphutikritam idam yasmad amushmin stave tenasya shravanat tadartha mananat dhyanat cha sankirtanat. Dhyanat cha sankirtanat. Sarvatmatva mahavibhuti sahitam syat ishwaratvam swatah siddhyetat punarashtadha parinatam cha aishwaryam avyahatam. So this shloka may not have been written by Bhagavan Adi Shankara. May not be. It is it's a phalashruti. எதுக்கு இது சொல்றா அப்படின்னா எதுக்கு may not be by Adi Shankara அப்படின்னு சொல்றான்னா இந்த இடத்துல the way he presents it is the author is this shloka sarvatmatvam எப்படி when you break it, it is atmatvam sarva atmatvam. Atmatvam is the state of being in the self. Sarva atmatvam is the state of being in the self of all. Aham brahmasmi அப்படின்னு சொல்றோம் இல்லையா, which means I am Brahman, I am in all. When I say I am in all, it is a state of recognition of sarvatmatvam. Atmatvam, sarvatmatvam. Right? Then he says, this is made clear in this shloka. Sputi kritamidam yasmad amushmin stave. In this stave, in this stavam nu solluvom illaya shlokatha. In this stave, this has been made clear, which means that the I that I am is the I of all. What is that state of the being the self in all has been made clear in this shloka. Tenasya shravanat tadartha mananat dhyanat cha sankirtanat. Now, how do you continue to be in the state is by shravana, manana, nididhyasana, sankirtana. Right? Shravanam, mananam, nididhyasanam, and sankirtanam. Singing the praises of the Lord. Sarvatmatva mahavibhuti sahitam. Now this great glory of Sarvatmatva, this is the same, this is the realization of the Ishvara himself. So when you have this realization, you know that you are God. Syat Ishwaratvam Swataha. By your own self, you'll realize that presence of God, that you are God. Siddhye tat punarashtadha. Siddhye tat punaha ashtadha. Ashtadhana, there are eightfold. Ennadu siddhi. Parinatam, you get transformed. Cha aishwaryam avyahatam, which means you get all the aishwarya which unimpeded. Avyahatamna oru badha illama enna kadaikiradhu? Ashta siddhigal kadaikiradhu. Ashtama siddhi kadaikiradhu. So one way to look at it is, enna adu ivlo nali vandu nada atman தான் பிரம்மன், வேற எதுவும் கிடையாது, இதெல்லாம் மாயா ப்ரொஜெக்ஷன் அப்படி இப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு கடைசியில இந்த ஸ்லோகம் சொன்னா அஷ்டமா சித்தி கிடைக்கும்னு சொல்றாளே. அஷ்டமா சித்திஸ் ஆர் ஸ்டில் இன் தி வேர்ல்ட் ஆஃப் மாயா தானே. Correct? So the sloka is ending with siddhyetat punarashtadha ashtadha parinatam chaishwaryam avya. I get aishwaryam, all kinds of aishwaryam கிடைக்கும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி முடியாது. ஸ்டார்டிங்ல இருந்து இதெல்லாம் ஒண்ணும் கிடையாது, இதெல்லாம் மண்ணுடா, இதெல்லாம் மாயடா அப்படின்னு சொல்லியாச்சு. கடைசியில வந்து இதெல்லாம் உனக்கு கிடைக்கும். So what is the அஷ்டமா சித்தி சொல்லுவோம் இல்லையா? அனிமா சித்தே, லகிமா சித்தே, மகிமா சித்தே, ஈஷித்வ சித்தே, வசித்வ சித்தே, பிராகாமிய சித்தே, புக்தி சித்தே, இச்சா சித்தே. There are 8 kinds of siddhis. You can become small, you become big, you become light, you become heavy. அப்படி இந்த அஷ்டமா சித்தி வந்து இதுக்காக தான் வந்து many people strive. They want the powers அப்படின்னு சொல்லி. Many people, tantrics எல்லாம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, they spend a lot of their time in their life to achieve these siddhis. I want to control somebody's mind. I want to read someone's mind. நான் நினைக்கிறத அவ பண்ணணும். இது மாதிரிலாம் வந்து there are a lot of these siddhis that we want to acquire because we want to control life. We want life in a way we want it. We are not allowing life to flow the way it wants to flow, and then you become a passive observer and somebody who's just experiencing it. Rather, we want to direct life in a certain way. So we want the Ashtama Siddhi. So we strive for it. So, but Dakshinamurti Stotram is not about that. Dakshinamurti Stotram, even to attempt to come to Dakshinamurti Stotram, we need to be in a state of abandonment. In a state of abandon rindada. Only when we drop off the need to run behind material acquisitions, only then we will be interested to even come to something like a Dakshinamurti Stotram. And it's all about abandoning. It's all about renunciation, all about recognizing that this is Maya. Only by realizing that this is Maya, you will be able to be liberated. That is what it's saying. But one way of looking at this particular Falashruti is, one explanation that I've heard is that Falashruti idu mari em place pannirukana for people who are not yet there to abandon. It gives them ஒரு சாக்லேட் கொடுக்குற மாதிரி, குழந்தைகளுக்கு சாக்லேட் கொடுத்து ஸ்கூல் அனுப்புற மாதிரி. So it's like an entry. So when somebody reads this, I say, oh பரவாயில்லையே, if I read this every day, I'll get the Ashtama Siddhi and I'll get all the Aishwaryam. அப்படின்னு சொல்லி they'll start reading. So they look at the last shloka and then they'll get drawn. Oh, maybe this is the Falashruti. I'll get this phala. Let me start reading. So when you start reading from the first, and then this idea goes into you. Slowly this idea of moksha or liberation or renunciation will all slowly go into you. And as you keep doing this again and again, the desire for the Ashtama Siddhi will vanish in a certain way. See, I always feel, the best way, if God has to grace us for our desires, there are 2 ways he can do it. One is that he can fulfill our desire, or he can dissolve your desire. So I always feel dissolving the desire is the best. When the desire gets fulfilled, there is every likelihood and chance for a new desire to be born. And the fulfillment of the desire is never eternal. It is always time bound. And at the end of the fulfillment, I am always seeking for more. And then I am again, there is a new desire that will rise. So beautiful enna, enoda guru solvar. Understanding is not when all the questions are answered. Understanding is when all the questions are dropped. Understanding occurs when the questions drop. So நம்ம என்ன பண்றோம், we are going and trying to, it's like saying, ரமணர் சொன்ன மாதிரி கனவுல வந்த ஒரு திருடனை தேடிண்டு ஓடுறோம் நம்ம. அது கனவுல வந்த திருடன் அது. He doesn't exist in reality. But we are running behind him, chasing him. ஐயோ அவன் இருந்தான், இவனோ ஒருத்தன் வந்து என் வீட்டை திருடினா. The same thing, like searching for the snake on the rope. Once the snake is gone, you will not try to investigate where did the snake go. Once jnana arises and ajnanam goes away, when the ajnanam of the snake goes away and the jnanam of the rope arises, you will not go into search of the snake at all. Hey, enga pa pochu and the snake pudipa appdin theda maatom, because you know now there was no snake in the first place. So in the same way, the shloka, the Dakshinamurti Stotram draws you in, saying that உனக்கு அஷ்டமா சித்தி கிடைக்கும், உனக்கு ஐஸ்வர்யம் கிடைக்கும் அப்படின்னு. But then after you go through the whole process, the whole desire for it will drop. So maybe it's a trick. Maybe it is a trick. Maybe we don't know. But the idea is that this particular stuti has to be gone through multiple rounds. Shravanam, at the end he is saying, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, Sankirtanam. Right? Sankirtanam, it's a beautiful word. Sankirtanam, any kirtanam, any song you take can be a kirtana, can be a kriti. But when you are doing it with the mind, when you are doing it to refine your mind, or when you are doing it to dissolve the mind, that is Sankirtana. It becomes Sankirtana. If it is agitating or enticing your senses, then it is simple music. But when it is heard or listened to dissolve your mind, music should essentially dissolve your identity. நான் இருக்கேங்கிறது அங்க போயிடணும். மியூசிக் இருக்கு அங்க. It should refine your whole mental process. So when that happens, then it is Sankirtana. So he says you should do Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, Sankirtanam. And இது வந்து ஒரு லைன்ல கிடையாது. It's not linear. It is not okay, Shravanam பண்ணுமா, அப்புறம் மனனம் பண்ணுமா, நிதித்தியாசனம் பண்ணுமா, சங்கீர்த்தனம் ஆச்சே, அப்படி கிடையாது. It is not that. It has to be done in a cyclical manner. ஏன்னா, why does this have to be done in a cyclical manner? What has happened to us has happened in a cyclical manner. If you look at the way we think today, the way we are as a human being, we have this desire, this gets desire that's prompted from within. It comes as a thought, then that thought becomes an action, and action again creates another desire. And there is a thought, there is an action, there is a cycle. There is a cycle of kama, chintana, karma. Right? This kama to karma is a cycle that is constantly there. We are trying to break that cycle. So on the cycle break panna enna panna or pudu cycle create panna. We have to create a new cycle. And that cycle is of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana and Sankirtana add பண்ணிருக்கா. யூசுவலா வேதாந்தத்துல இந்த மூணு தான் சொல்லுவா. Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. But Sankirtanam add பண்ணிருக்கா, which is very beautiful because you can also do Sankirtana of the same stava. இந்த ஸ்தவத்தையே சங்கீர்த்தனமா பண்ணலாம். இப்போ கல்பக்காகட்டெல்லாம் விட்டோம்னா அவ்வளவு அழகா பாடுவா அது. கரெக்டா? And so when you sing and when you listen to that, then your mind is dwelling both on the artha of the song and also the melody of the song. So it naturally rises you above. The music will raise you and the meaning of it will raise you further. So it's a complete package. So that way, the whole shloka is, it's a moksha grantha that is essentially targeted towards taking a step in the direction of going inwards. This is the highest text. Actually, Patelna, we can take the voluminous Viveka Chudamani, Adi Shankaradala Cholra, voluminous Viveka Chudamani Ertukala, or we can take the small Tattva Bodha or the Atma Bodha, or any of these works that we take. Ellathukum neenga vandu summarize pannelna, Dakshinamurti is of the highest order because of its conciseness and the coverage that he has got here. Phenomenal coverage that he has got. 7 minutes which class 5 or India last 7:15 or 7:15 will close another 10 minutes. So what he has done is he has made it so concise and beautiful that it's easy for us to remember. So ideal would be if we can memorize this whole shloka by listening to it again and again, reading again and again. If we can memorize verses, some of these verses will just occur to us. Rahu grasta diva karendu sadrusho maya samachhadanat. If you think about the planetary Sani Bhagavan Padtara, Rahu Padtara, Abdullah Yosikarchi, we can think about this shloka. And then your mind is risen above those troubles. He's played with that word. How Rahu is eclipsing the planets, the sun and the moon. Rahu grasta divakara indu. The sun and the moon, Ade Mari Maya is covering our perception. So see what is happening there. If you think about Rahu, Ketu, Shani, planets, all of that, when we get stuck in that, you think about this shloka, and then you are stuck in that veil. The purpose is to take out the veil. The whole process is to take out the veil. It is like the Surya is there, the clouds are covering. The Surya has not gone anywhere. So when our mind goes into this kind of a thought, it shifts. Then you're not chained down by the daily problems. Or chain madri irukku. Namakku iron chain madri irukku. Kaalla kaila katti engyo katti uttirukku. And every day becomes a task, an upheaval, because we are chained. Baddha அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு word use பண்ணுவோம். Baddha அப்படின்னா we are literally tied, tethered. But how do you liberate yourself is by bringing these ideas constantly. So it will be very nice if we can go through this whole several times. What we've had is only an introduction. We've had an introduction into how to explore this shloka, how to go through this whole shloka. And as we explore, personal, I usually carry Dakshinamurti oda padam vechipena eppume enoda idula wallet la irukum. Because I personally have a very strong connect. It is not the form. It is so the beauty about this form is this is one form that constantly reminds you of the formless. It is so interesting. This is a form that reminds you of the formless. Matta forms Allah, you get stuck in the form. In the form, it will constantly remind you of formless. It will constantly make you remember that silence is the most important thing. Not the words, not making of the sound. The silence is the most important thing. Appadinu remind pannuvar. So this visualization, now with this shloka, now we know when we go to a kovil and see Dakshinamurti as a statue there, we should remember that he is not that statue. He is me. He is me, and it's a reflection there. So it's a reminder. Adanalada he is Dakshinamurti. You sit and you look up to him. He is looking down upon you. You look up to him and you remember that is me. That is the presence that I am. I am that presence. அப்படின்னு சொல்லி. So we'll have to, so this is a fabulous journey we had. உமாஜிக்கு தான் தேங்க் பண்ணணும். ஏன்னா அவங்க தான் வந்து she said நம்ம தட்சிணாமூர்த்தி ஸ்தோத்திரம் பண்ணலாமா அப்படின்னு கேட்டா.
Thank you so much. By grace of God today completed. Thank you so much.
It turned out to be a beautiful journey.
Yes.
வந்து ஒரு
இதோட ரெக்கார்டிங் நீங்க as usual மத்த ஸ்லோகங்கள் மாதிரி இதையும் ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ணி கொடுப்பேன் இல்லையா?
ஃபுல் 10 ஸ்லோகம் ரெக்கார்டிங் இருக்கு. நான் முன்னாடி அனுப்பிச்சிருந்தேன். மேபி I'll send it again. And இதுல அந்த நம்ம கூகுள் டிரைவ்ல கூட இருக்கு. So
சரி, நான் பார்த்தேன். அப்போ ஓகே, நோ இஷ்யூ.
கூகுள் டிரைவ் has this. So let us so இந்த கால் கீழ இருக்கிறது வந்து ஆபஸ்மரா அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு 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 என்டிட்டி. அது தட்ஸ் a being. ஆபஸ்மரானா forgetfulness, ignorance. It's a representation of ignorance. So நம்மளோட யோசிக்கணும். நம்ம வந்து தட்சிணாமூர்த்தி குருவோட கால் நம்ம தலைமையில பட்டு ignorance should go away, ignorance should be under our feet அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி, which means ignorance goes away and what remains there is Dakshinamurti. The beauty of Dakshinamurti is when we propitiate him, when we worship him, when we think about him, what remains there is only he. I am praying to Dakshinamurti kadayadanga. It moves from I am praying to Dakshinamurti, I am thinking of Dakshinamurti, I am imbibing Dakshinamurti, and what remains at the end is only Dakshinamurti. அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு மனோபாவத்துல we should try to constantly put ourselves into that. May his grace be upon us so that we constantly remind ourselves of the grace of Dakshinamurti and the understanding that he represents, and may it grow within us. Namakulla and the understanding grow aga tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye namaidam. Then we will bow down in gratitude. Shri Dakshinamurtaye. The gratitude ulla varacheda. The my guru says the spiritual blossoming order. How would you know you're spiritually blossoming is when gratitude starts increasing inside. Gratitude vandu as it increases inside, you know that you're spiritually blossoming. Complaining irukom நம்ம ஸ்டார்டிங்ல when you start life la complaints irukom, இது சரியில்லை அது சரியில்லை இப்படி அப்படி இப்படி இப்படி இது இப்படியா இருக்கு அப்படி இருக்கு. But as you blossom, you'll know that the flower of gratitude, gratefulness, you'll be grateful for everything that's happening that you've been given. Then you know that you are on the right path. Spiritual blossoming nadandirukku. So with that, Guru's grace, Om Kayena Vacha Manasendriyerva Buddhyatmana va Prakrite Swabhavat Karomi Yatyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayanayeti Samarpayami Sadashivayeti Samarpayami Jagadambikaye iti Samarpayami Sadgurunathayeti Samarpayami. Hari Om Tat Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Thank you so much. Next shloka decide பண்ணி ஆயிட்டா?
இல்லம்மா, not yet. I have not decided. Thank you very much. நம்ம I'll let groupல போடுறேனா.
Okay.
We'll kind of pause for a while.
இதனோட ரெக்கார்டிங் இதுல போட்டுருக்கேன்.
கூகுள் டிரைவ் என்ன பண்ணலாம், அந்த வாட்ஸ்அப்போட குரூப் டிஸ்கிரிப்ஷன் பாருங்க.
அதுல இருக்கு.
வாட்ஸ்அப்போட குரூப் டிஸ்கிரிப்ஷன்ல லிங்க் இருக்கு. அந்த லிங்க் கிளிக் பண்ணுங்க. இப்போ நான் வந்து இந்த டாக்குமெண்ட்டை கொஞ்சம் இன்னும் ஒரு அப்டேட் இருக்கு. இப்போ இந்த அனலக இதெல்லாம் கொஞ்சம் மாற்றி அதை நான் அப்லோட் பண்ணி விடுறேன்னா, so that அது வந்து கொஞ்சம் we will let us, I mean, so அதுல இருந்து நீங்க டவுன்லோட் பண்ணிக்கலாம். நான் அனுப்பிச்சு விடுறேன்னா. மற்றது நெக்ஸ்ட் எப்போனா நான் ரைட் நவ் we'll continue only the Friday லலிதா சாஸ்திரம் அது கண்டினியூ பண்ணுவோம். சாட்டர்டே வந்து எப்படின்னு நான் சொல்றேன். அப்புறம் கொஞ்சம் we'll take a little break. We'll identify what next அப்படின்னு. அப்புறம்
ரொம்ப நல்லா இருந்தது.
Thank you very much. ஏதாவது இருந்ததுன்னா உங்களுக்கு ஸ்பெசிஃபிக்கா ஏதாவதுன்னா சொல்லுங்க. Then we will see which one to take and then we'll do it after a little break.
சங்கராச்சாரியர் தான் never ending சாதன பஞ்சகம் இருக்கு. But your choice.
சாதன பஞ்சகம் actually உமா somehow ஏதோ சிங்க் ஆகுது. நீங்க யோசிக்கிறதும் நானும். நான் ஆக்சுவலி couple of days back I was thinking of
வந்து எனக்கு அது ரொம்ப கேட்கணும். ரொம்ப ரொம்ப இது வேதமதியதாம்.
ஆமா. ரொம்ப பியூட்டிஃபுல்லான ஸ்லோகம். பார்க்கலாம் அது. So we will reconvene at some time.
இருக்கு. 2 கிளாஸ் எடுத்தா கூட 5 ஸ்லோகம் தான் இருக்கு அதுல.
ஆமா,
So
ஆமா.
2
ரெண்டு
weeks
செஷன் மாதிரி பண்ணி இல்ல 5 ஸ்லோகம் இல்லமா, அது there are ஸ்லோகம் 5, there are 40 steps there.
40 steps exactly.
So we can do 2 1-hour sessions மாதிரி ஏதாவது பிளான் பண்ணி நம்ம will
Danyas.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Shri Guru Namaha. Hari Om.
ధన్యవాదాలు.
ధన్యవాదాలు.